Hi everyone, Francis McInerney from North River Ventures, speaking to you once again about our Future Creators program. Today we've got another one of our spectacular stories of failure, and we're using our comprehensive system for managing at zettabyte scale to show you how you can identify problems decades before even management knows about them. This is Airbus. Why the A380 Super Jumbo failed. A380, a gigantic plane. This is a staggering mistake. Easy to foresee, and we did. We foresaw this years and years ago. What you'll learn is the conventional wisdom pretty straightforward. Oh gosh, the airline suddenly turned against Super Jumbos like the A380, so it had to be canceled. That is absolutely not even remotely the case. At FutureCreators, we know, because we ran the numbers, Airbus information velocity collapsed before 2004. So well before 15 years ago, Airbus information velocity collapsed, and you can watch our video on information velocity and how it works in all your corporate functions on our site. So you understand what information velocity is and how easy it is to track. The data was public. This was in Airbus annual reports. This was not a complicated piece of information at all. So the board could see it, and if the board could see it, the two big shareholders, the governments of France and Germany, and their proxies, they could see it. This just isn't complicated. In 2006, in our publication Airbus, we said that Airbus needed an end-to-end restructuring to accelerate its information velocity. It was obvious. We even said in 2006 that the A380 would fail. 2006, we said the A380. That's a long time ago. The Hubble effect, again, our videos on that are available to you, was in full force. Because of its very low information velocity, Airbus was so far removed from the airlines that buy its product that it had no idea what was going on. And we said so. They just don't know what demand looks like. It was obvious to us. Why was it not obvious to Airbus? They're supposed to be the experts. And that's the value of the Future Creator system. You get to see this stuff. Airbus discovered what we knew in our Future Creators business management system in 2006. They discovered it in 2019. That's crazy. The amount of money that's been wasted is stupefying. Here are the data, and these are not complicated. Look at the days of sales and inventory. That's spectacular. We're talking, well over half a year in inventory for much of this period. Receivables, not really all that good. Okay, but nothing spectacular. And this is interesting because you'll see this will come back as we progress here. Look at payables. You'd think that payables would be pushed way out to cover the big problem with inventories and receivables, because this company is in such a difficult situation, and they weren't. And we'll see soon why that is. But look at this. Information velocity was 193 in 2004, but up to 220 in 2019. These are just staggering numbers. You can't survive in any form without massive subsidy from somebody with data like this. It's not happening. And worse, you have complete management inaction for 15 years. Management did exactly nothing. These data show not a single attempt to do anything to make this company healthy. That's wild. And in the middle of this, they decided to launch an A380. You just into a totally new market that everyone knew didn't exist. Makes no sense. And here you get the really painful result, which is this company has been in the Edison Gap for a long time, and you can watch our video on the Edison Gap to see how it works. Operating earnings do not come close to covering R&D. They sort of touched a couple of times, but nothing sustainable. So the Hubble effect has been in full force for a decade and a half, and no one has done a single thing to figure this out. And it's this problem that has caused Airbus to completely miss its markets. Now let's look at the larger data, the cash and capital velocity indices, and the company's size, which is the size of the circle. 2004 deteriorated significantly by 2009. Okay, some improvement for 2019, but the data are still awful. I mean, this is really, this is terminal. This is not a company with any future whatever. Again, without massive taxpayer intervention. This structure is highly unstable and a very easy hit. Supposing the Chinese were decided to have a party-driven and party-funded structure, take a shot at Airbus. Very easy. No problems. This company is in very feeble shape. So what is the cost to Airbus? Wow. First of all, there's the A380 cancellation. But it was announced in 1990, 30 years ago. And they spent $25 billion to develop this thing. Bluntly, Airbus low information velocity hid problems for management for 30 years. Now, this is where some of that data in the earlier chart get interesting. Airbus has been fined for bribing its customers. One of the reasons why its payables are not so high, and I've seen this before, and it was a big shock to me when I discovered it, was that the company with a pattern exactly like the one we saw with Airbus core efficiencies was bribing customers to buy its products and paid billions in fines. And I was advising the CEO at the time, only to discover this, and a very big shock. And you could see in their patterns why they weren't implementing information velocity programs, because if they did, they would have uncovered the bribes. You know, you can't eliminate cash wait states without discovering bribery if that's happening. The information velocity data, as I said, showed the risks of this happening at least 15 years ago. So when you have information velocity that bad, bribing customers is the next step. Now, the helicopter program has also been hit by bribery accusations, and we'll have to see what the outcome there is. The military transport, the A400M, also has had immense problems. This thing has had endless delays, order cancellations, and the $9 billion write-down. It originated in 1982, but its first flight wasn't for the next 27 years. You know, the cost to really crummy information velocity is huge. The company has a tiny operating profit, vanishingly small, and massive debt loads. Look at all of these problems. Look at the core financials as we have. None of this can be a surprise. It just can't be. So there are key lessons for everyone. Check your own data. That comes first. Check your own data. Make sure that your information velocity is where it's supposed to be. Don't ignore the basics in your own your annual reports. Airbus management has had a grade F in our management grading system since 2004. You know, go on our website and enter their data and come up with their grade, and they know what they've got to do. So don't you wait a decade and a half to discover that there never was a market for your top product. That's crazy. Or to wait that long to rebuild end-to-end so you can accelerate your information velocity. Act fast, act now. Eliminate the Hubble effect. Make sure that you're close to your customers. The key, eliminate cash wait states. Not complicated. Your Hubble effect says that the farther you are away from your customers, the faster they're moving away from you. Your cache weight state elimination and information velocity eliminates that problem. And don't wait a decade and a half to even begin to think about any of this. Information velocity is everything. We predicted the core problems at Airbus in 2006. From R&D to engineering, supply chain management, and sales, we predicted it all. Our publication in 2006 remains to this day the baseline analysis of the company. You can't manage Airbus without having this thing sitting next to you as your Bible. It's only 9 pages long. What are they doing? Why did Airbus ignore its own public data? So don't ever do anything like this. What you have here is another Ericsson, another Nokia just waiting to get slammed. Don't be that company. We've been doing this since 1976. We've seen it all. We've seen it all. And make sure that some of these bad things you don't see. Okay. Talk to you again soon.